Hello, I'm Chara. I'm a top-level Splatoon player who's participated in almost all of Nintendo's tournaments. Recently, for the Splat Ladder 2021, they've changed their format slightly, and while some of the changes are positive, I think it overall has some major issues that must be adjusted before the next event. If you enjoy, you can be sure to subscribe to see more. I think the first and most important thing to talk about is the old Nintendo tournament format. What they used to have for Splatoon tournaments is single elimination. It's an incredibly simple format. You play, if you lose, you're out. If you win, you move forward. It's seeded so the top teams fight each other at the latter half of the bracket. This is the most common tournament format in existence. You can find it absolutely everywhere, and it works all right. It is a, by definition, functional format and nothing more. It works. The best teams will win. Everyone gets to play at least a game, but outside of that, it's not great. The big problem with single elimination is that if you're a non-top 32 team, you don't have a lot of sets to play. You don't get to actually do that much. The second you lose, you're out of the tournament. So while some teams are playing for multiple hours, some teams are playing for 15 minutes and then they're done with the entire thing, which is not great given how many lower level teams there are in Nintendo tournaments, and something that I figured they would address sooner. Outside of that, there was typically a map list. You would play in all modes, including Turf War. Originally, sometimes they had Turf War be the starting stage. I don't really have an issue with that. But eventually, they changed the format, and now they are doing what is called ladder, which is a lot less common. So I'll explain ladder real quick for those who don't know. Rather than there being a bracket itself, you now jump into a queue time, and you can queue whenever you want, and you can play as long as you like within the 4 hours of the tournament. If you just want to play the last hour, you can. First hour, you can. Whole thing, you can. Take a break at a random point, completely up to you. If you do a match and you want to break, you can wait. If you want to do another one immediately, you can, which is awesome. This is the main thing about ladder that is really good. It has the least downtime of any tournament while also having as much downtime as you want. If you play just to play the tournament, you don't have to play whenever you want, which is great. There is a form of matchmaking, and mostly takes place in the latter half of the tournament, to where it will try to place you with people that are similar to your record, your win-loss record in the tournament. So as the tournament gets later into the bracket, especially on the last hour, the queue times do get longer, but typically the match quality will get better. And that's basically how ladder works. After the ladder is over, teams are ranked in an order, and then the first team will win their prize, second place the next prize, third and fourth place prize, and then afterward that's all done. So it's a pretty simple and a pretty standard format. The sets are best of 3 for all of them, and they are a counterpick format. That is basically how the tournament itself works. So, there are 3 main problems for this format, and I'm going to go over them one by one, and the first one is probably the least problematic or controversial, which is the counterpicks themselves. So, the tournament is one specific mode, that's why there's multiple of them. In this case, we did a Splat Zone tournament, there was a Rainmaker before, Tower will be next, and there is no map restrictions. So, there are 2 teams, Team A and Team B. Team A gets to pick the map first. Team B picks second, basically. And then after that, the loser of Game 2 picks the third match. And the problem with this is basically one team is going to get an additional counter pick. It's not a massive advantage for the state Splatoon's in right now. It doesn't matter too much. It is still an advantage for whichever team loses Game 2, basically. So if it does go to a Game 3, there is a slight advantage in what map gets picked, which is a bit of a problem. The other problem with it is that you are allowed to repeat maps. Now, for some people, they don't care about this. That's fine. If you are okay with map repeats, that's fine. Most tournaments don't tend to like them because it can get repetitive. My main issue is if there's a map that hard counters one team, you can simply play that map twice. And to use an example, we played Quantum. We took them to Camp, a map that, in my opinion, they aren't that good on. And we have a comp that specifically deals with them very well. And we took them there, we won, and then we took them there again in the second set. And if either of those sets went to a Game 3, we were planning on playing Camp again. So if both sets were a best of 3, and it wasn't 2-0s for us, it would have been camp 4 out of 6 times. Just because we got the RNG to be able to counterpick twice. So, again, these aren't big problems, and I'll get into solutions later, but I feel they are worth mentioning because they do technically give an advantage to one team. But moving on from that, the second problem is match dodging. So, as some of you probably have figured out, if you can choose when you want to queue, you do not have to queue at the same time as any other teams. So, for example, if I'm Little Timmy Incorporated, and I see Big Scary FT Win streaming the tournament, and they just enter the queue, and I don't want to risk matching them, you can just wait until they get into a queue, and they find a game, and then search. So for any teams who wish to stream this tournament, which in this case I believe FT Win didn't stream, actually, you can just get avoided by whatever teams. So it is possible to dodge matches. Additionally, even if you do get matched to them, something that I found out today with my team because it happened to us, you do not have to play the match just because you get matched with the team. There is a check-in time of 5 minutes, and if one of the teams does not check into that match, after those 5 minutes are up, it will throw both teams back in the queue with no penalty. In our case, we had a team that forgot to check in. It's not their fault. It was a mistake. We played game 1. We KO'd. We went to start game 2, and our match disappeared because they accidentally didn't check in. So we had to leave and start another match. They did not get a loss. We did not get a win. And everyone had successfully wasted their time. Now, you don't always have the easiest way to tell who you're fighting, but you can basically, if you get matched with the team and you don't want to play them, you can just not fight them, and there is no penalty for that whatsoever. Which is not the greatest thing in the world, but it is what it is. Those are my 2 problems with it. Kyo said, I didn't stream because of queue dodging. So there you go. The team that won the tournament intentionally made sure they did not get dodged. Now, can you win the tournament without playing a specific team? Because that is important for this to matter. Yes. If Team A and Team B are in a tournament, and say Team B doesn't want to fight Team A, and Team B are both way better than every other team, because this is a hypothetical here and I want to make this simple. If Team B does not play Team A, both teams win, but Team B gets one more game than Team A, they will have a better record and win the tournament without having to fight the better team a single time. Now, obviously, that's a very specific example, but basically, as long as your record is better, which you can achieve by simply playing more matches than the opponent, you do not have to directly beat another opponent. In this case, FT Win had a 17-0 record today, might be off by a little bit. If there was a Team B that had an 18-0 record and did not fight FT Win at all, they would win the tournaments. So it's worth mentioning that not only is queue dodging a thing, but you are not required to fight the best teams in order to win the tournament. It's not easy, but the fact that it is possible in the first place isn't the greatest thing in the world. Now the third problem, and this is a more minor one, but it's worth mentioning, ladder format, if you play and you want to win, because there are prizes, and if you play and you want to win the tournament, because the amount of matches you play matters so much, if you really want a shot at getting top 4, the best thing to do is to play the entire tournament without taking any breaks whatsoever. 4 hours straight, no breaks, just the queues, and play over and over. And all of the top-seeded teams did this. FT Win played 17 matches in 4 hours. That is a lot of matches. So this tournament can kind of lead to a form of burnout, or at the very least just be a little bit draining, because there just isn't a break or cooldown if you want to win in most situations, because it is better to get more games for your record. So it leads to ladder just kind of being a very, you have to play it all the time and get burned out if you are going for a top 4 prize. which I think is just a little bit ridiculous, and I think everyone can agree 4 hours of Splatoon in a row is a little too much. I think we can all agree on that. It lasts a long time. So, that's the main problems. Let's talk about solutions to them. My first solution is about the counterpick maps and how we're going to address those. So for counterpicks, I think that the first map should either be random, and there could be stage bans if you want, or the first map is predetermined, which might be impossible to do with ladder straight up, but the first match should probably just be random, and then from there you can just have it so the team that loses counterpicks. That way, if it's a best of 3, each team gets 1 counterpick, and no team has an advantage over the other. If Nintendo wants to ban specific bad stages in order to make it a little bit better, they can do that. It's not required. It would help with the tournament quality. Number 2, there is no way to fully stop queue sniping. So this is a fully more complicated solution. If you stream, people can dodge you. However, the factor that can be controlled is if people don't check into a match, they should lose those match. Maybe it'll be intentional that they dropped out. Maybe it won't be intentional, but if you don't check in, you should take a loss, and the team that plays you should take the win. It should not be to where the match is completely dissolved, because that way, if you do accidentally match with a team, you cannot dodge them. I can't believe this isn't a thing already, but yes, please allow it so if you don't check in, you lose the match. Okay. Number 3. Here's a complicated solution. So, if stream sniping is still possible, and 4 hours is still very long, how do we fix the other problems? Simple. We have a top cut in the tournament. I personally feel that the ladder stage should be reduced to either 2.5 or 3 hours, and the reason I say 2.5 is because if you queue for a match when it ends, you get to play a little bit longer. That should be the play, and then top 8 or 16 would get into a cut. In this case, dodging a team will not save you from having to play them in the top cut. It allows for a break in between the tournament format so that teams can rest for a little bit and don't have to play 4 hours straight. And if you're wondering, okay, what about the other teams who are not in top 16? Don't they just lose playtime now? You can just have more brackets. If top 1 through 16 is bracket A, you can have 17 through 32 be bracket B, and so on. Every team can be put into a bracket based on the group of 16 that they are matched with, and that still leads to approximately 4 hours of playtime. So nobody plays that significantly less, and the top cut ensures that the best teams do have to play each other. All of this while keeping the ladder format and ensuring that teams get the games that they want to play. Now, just to add to this, there are 2 more things I'd like to see in Nintendo tournaments that are just me being wishful thinking, and I believe they should be present at events. Number 1, unban the Splatfest tee, because there's no reason for it to be banned. It has ability doubler, which is one of the worst abilities in the game, because a main is worth 10 ability points and subs are worth 3. So a normal shirt has 19 ability points, and an ability doubler shirt has 18. In other words, you have less gear value by using ability doubler. Why is this banned? It's just weird. If a team accidentally plays it, they get DQ'd, and it's a very weird and obscure rule, and a team has lost a set for it. So, I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't really make any sense. Additionally, other hacked ability doubler shirts are banned, which again, that part may make more sense, but it's weird they're banning ability doubler specifically. Second obscure wish, and something that a top cut would allow very easily, please have a damn stream, Nintendo. Like, streams matter so much for getting top-level tournaments out there, and especially official tournaments. If you want to showcase these top competitive teams, or show off competitive, there needs to be a stream. It is ridiculous that there are official Nintendo tournaments that do not have streams. It negates part of the purpose of these tournaments. If you want to show off your game to people, and you want to show off the competitive to people, a stream is how you do that. So many of the top sets in this tournament simply do not have streams at all. It just doesn't really make any sense. There should be streams. Please stream the tournaments. That's all of my hopes, and that's my thoughts on the Nintendo tournament format. Again, this is not to bash Nintendo or call them terrible. I appreciate their support for the competitive scene, and I agree that the ladder tournament format is a necessity for improving the quality for most of the teams in the tournament. However, for the sake of competitive integrity and just having an overall better format, so especially when prizes are on the line, it is just a little bit better at exactly ranking the top 4, 8, 16, whatever teams. I believe having these changes would significantly help the tournament format. I hope you all have enjoyed, and if you have any suggestions for the tournament format, be sure to let me know. Thank you for watching.